What's up everyone, it's Gundam Breaker, and for this review we're going to be looking at the high grade 1144th skill Gundam Breaker Battlogue Perfect Strike Freedom Gundam. And I made sure to specify this time it's Gundam Breaker Battlogue, not Gundam Build Breaker Battlogue like I mistakenly said in the unboxing video. This kit released in 2021 for 2,530 yen. This mobile suit is featured in the Gundam Breaker mobile game and Gundam Breaker anime, which is free to watch on YouTube. I myself have only seen bits and pieces of it just to get a general idea of the mobile suit, but all of the episodes combined are a little under an hour long, so do check it out if you have the chance. So if the name Perfect Strike Freedom wasn't enough of a giveaway, this mobile suit is essentially a combination of Gundam Seed's Perfect Strike Gundam and Strike Freedom Gundam, though that's not entirely the case as we'll see in just a bit. I'm a pretty big fan of the Perfect Strike Gundam. It's one of those designs that favors raw offensive power over aesthetic consistency, and it does a great job showing it. However, when it comes to Gunpla offerings, your options are limited to old, P Bandai and sold separately, and really expensive. With that said, let's find out if this new Perfect Strike Freedom Gundam makes for a good, more affordable substitute. From here on, I'm going to try to keep high grade reviews on the shorter side, unless there's some outstanding quality about them that warrants more in-depth commentary. I'll still keep the 5 categories, I'm just going to condense my critique a bit. As always, starting off with the build, the assembly here is really straightforward. It's a pretty typical high-grade snap build with polycap joints that I imagine won't take you very long to put together. A good majority of it is made up of a 2016 kit, which is the HG Strike Freedom Revive, and yeah, it definitely feels that way. Not to say it's bad by any means, just sort of average. On the other hand, I like the incorporation of some of the new 2021 parts. In particular, I had a great time building the new Striker pack. Now, in terms of build strength, at first I thought the arms were really loose, but it turns out I was just dumb and I didn't push the bicep sleeves down all the way, so you might notice that in some of the footage. Can't say the same about the legs though, these really don't hold on too great. Continuing on to aesthetics, and this thing looks pretty damn good even as just a snap build. I think a lot of it has to do with the plastic quality. The surfaces are super clean with an almost matte look, really making the details feel a lot sharper. So little confession, while I liked the design of this kit, I was initially somewhat disappointed by how little of it seemed like it was actually Perfect Strike. It was only when I opened the box that I realized 2016 Strike Freedom actually serves as the base of this kit, whereas all the Perfect Strike elements are pretty much brand new. In a way, this design is more Strike Freedom with some subtle Perfect Strike characteristics, and I think that gave me a newfound appreciation for it. It still captures that cool asymmetrical quality of the Perfect Strike. The gear has just been redesigned to be a little more, I guess you could say, lightweight. Another thing I love is the amount of colored plastic Bandai managed to work into this kit. You got white, gray, black, red, yellow, blue, light blue, and green. That's pretty crazy. Some of the ways the old 2016 parts are reworked into the new ones are also quite smart. The only thing I'm not so big on is how the multi-phase beam cannon was relocated from the abdomen to the back of the Gatling gun. It seems like they really wanted to use it but couldn't find a better way to incorporate it, so I don't know, it just feels really out of place to me. Getting into the presentation, there are a total of 4 stickers used on the mobile suit, and all of them are reflective ones for the head. The gold foils for the eyes are pretty nice, and they go on top of a blue clear piece, which I actually just remembered has another reflective sticker behind them. I suppose that's if you want the eyes to be a clear blue, which will require some painting to look right. The other 3 are for the front and rear head cameras, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a really hard time getting that tiny top one on, but in spite of that, they're not too bad. Overall, I can't say this kit is lacking much in terms of color wraps, though I think that has to do with just more colored plastic being added to a base kit that's already really good in that department. For the most part, all that seems to be missing is just some black for recessed areas like you see on the legs. You got a couple of surface nubs, and I remember the gates were pretty small so they might not be too noticeable. A lot of them are going to be present on the 2016 parts, but I don't remember having to do too much cleanup. There's also some mold lines in a few places that shouldn't be very difficult for you to knock out. Seam lines are handled surprisingly well too. A lot of this kit is made up of single pieces that slide onto joints as opposed to sandwiching around them, and the ones that do a good job blending in with the details. At worst, you get a bit of minor gapping. It looks like there was some attempt to design around the one that separates the head parts, though it's still somewhat apparent. Now let's take a look at the accessories, and there's quite a few here, so I think the best place to start would be with the biggest, which is the striker pack. I'm not kidding, this thing is huge. Definitely the most striking aspect about this kit. It looks incredible, and what makes it all the more impressive is how the striker pack base is made up of entirely new parts. On top of that, I appreciate the very clever use of the old Strike Freedom parts, giving this thing some great color separation without having to rely on any stickers. The Dragoons also add some serious heft. They do nub up quite a bit though, so you'll maybe want to spend some more time cleaning them up. For moving parts, the wings can go up and down a good amount, and rotate all the way around. The boosters are on ball joints and get you the kind of movement you'd expect out of a ball joint. Before showing off the other features, I think it makes sense to equip it on the mobile suit first. So let's get this bad boy strapped on, and of course it's too heavy. Needless to say, if you want to display this kit with the striker pack, it's probably ideal to have some kind of action base. One way to support the kit is with the included cradle style base adapter that attaches right here at the bottom of the striker pack. Alternatively, the mobile suit has a hole down here if you want to mount that directly onto a compatible display base. Alright, hopefully this looks a little better. Once again, this striker pack will definitely put your high grade shelf space to the test. Hell, a single wing is as long as an HG RX-78-2 is tall. And since I didn't do size comparisons, here it is next to some of my more dynamic 1144 scale kits. Coming back around to the backpack weapons, you're able to remove each of the 8 Super Dragoons, which are meant to fire projectile beams while in flight. Unfortunately, there's nothing in here to display them with, nor does Bandai offer any suggestions on how to do so your options with them are pretty limited. Also carried over from the Strike Freedom are the Ziphius railguns, which connect to the striker pack via ball joints. With the wings down, they're able to rotate over the shoulders like so, and the back sections can be unfolded for the railguns to be at full length. Last thing to note about the striker pack is that it uses this 2-peg connection you might find is compatible with other high-grade kits. The high-grade Revive Gundam, for example, uses the same 2 holes, and while there are some protruding parts that block the way, you can definitely fudge it. Alright, for hands you got just the 2 pairs, which are the block-style holding hands and the widespread open hands. The first handheld weapon is the Anti-Ship Blade, or Schwert-Gewehr. I think I'll just stick with Anti-Ship Blade. To keep things on the shorter side, I'm not going to say so much about nubs or seams, as they're sort of par for the course for high grades, but this is 2 pieces and looks very cool. Especially really dig that blue. We get a beam effect that's a carryover from the 2020 HG Infinite Justice, and this attaches right here on the edge side of the Anti-Ship Blade. Now it's looking even more badass. You can equip this by first removing the back of the hand, inserting the blade handle into the slot, then putting the back cover back on. And for its size, it's pretty light, so the mobile suit can hold it without any weight issues. Your second handheld option is the Hyper Impulse Gun Agni. Wait, what was the original weapon this was based on? Oof, that's a serious downgrade. In spite of that, it looks okay. It's 2 pieces, and I like that little bit of color separation for the sight. Inside of that is a foil sticker. There's some holes on the railing which might look a little ugly, but that's to achieve its combined form, which we'll look at in just a second. This is held the same way as the Anti-Ship Blade, however I find the handle tends to get in the way in most positions, making the design of this thing seem really impractical. Okay, so one combination of the 2 handheld weapons is the Super Short Anti-Ship Blade. Achieving it is as simple as snapping the 2 weapons together like so, and putting this additional beam effect part on, transforming them into a giant double-edged sword. Honestly, the concept of this weapon is really stupid, but I can't deny how awesome it looks. Remember that troublesome Agni grip I mentioned earlier? Well, that actually serves as the grip for the sword, and the mobile suit holds onto it kinda like a baseball bat. And trust me, it's definitely gonna need 2 hands to hold this bad boy up. The second combination is the Super Agni, which as you might guess is a more powerful Hyper Impulse gun. It's exactly the same as the last weapon combo, the only difference is that it doesn't use any beam effect parts, and is held the same way as the regular Agni. This weapon will likewise require some support, so that's where the widespread open hand comes to good use. When either weapons are not in use, there are tabs on the sides of both of them that allow you to store them on the striker pack's boosters. Running down the mobile suit armament, on the right shoulder you have the combo weapons pod. It has both a Gatling gun and a micro missile launcher, but as far as this kit's concerned, it's just for show. On the right forearm we have the Stun Indra, which is a sort of hands-free taser. This doesn't have any functionality either, though you can flip it around to show that it's in use. On the left shoulder is the Rocket Anchor Panzerreissen, and this claw section has a little bit of articulation. You're also able to emulate it shooting out of the shoulder by first disconnecting it, then using this included bendy wire to link it back to the shoulder from one hole to the other. The wire is made of lead, so it offers a decent amount of posability. For the left forearm, you can remove this red piece to equip the beam shield. Pretty simple, but the effect is still really nice. One more thing you could do is flip the forearm guard around and insert this beam effect part to activate the beam blade Licht Fang. Last thing of note is you're able to lift up these flaps on the back of the legs to reveal some internal panels, though they do not appear to be color accurate. As for extras, all you get are a few leftover parts with nothing really substantial. If you're wondering if you could make a Strike Freedom with a more Strike-esque color scheme, unfortunately you'd be missing a lot of parts. You do have some leftover Beam Saber effect parts from the HG Infinite Justice, though it doesn't seem like I have the correct parts to complete the handles. Finally, let's get into the articulation. The head is on a ball joint and can turn side to side just a little bit. You get some up and down, and there's a hinge joint inside too, but it doesn't seem like you get much out of it. There's a ball joint connection between the upper and lower ab section, so you get some side to side, as well as a forwards and back ab crunch. I will mention there's a ball joint connection in the upper torso too, but because of the design, it's kind of locked in place. You have your full rotation at the upper body. The polycaps let the arms pop in and out somewhat. They're all in ball joints, so you can get some decent range, but it doesn't take much for them to pop out entirely. Of course, you got your full spin. There's your lateral arm movement, which is less than 90 degrees. You can at least get parallel on the left side if you take the claw off. Full rotation for the bicep swivel. Double jointed full bend at the upper arm. Hands are on a slightly extended ball joint, giving you some flexion and rotation. Moving down, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention this crotch piece has a frustrating tendency to come off extremely easily. Putting that aside, the front skirts are a single piece and can lift halfway up. Side skirts can move in and out somewhat. The back skirts are also a single piece but can lift all the way up. For the kicks, out to the front gets you, I want to say about 90. Out to the back, also 90. The side skirts didn't go out too much, so your splits are going to be pretty limited. There's also a sort of shifting mechanism in the hips that let you swing the legs side to side, though I personally don't care for it that much. Mild in and out swivel at the thigh. Full double jointed bend at the knee, no complaints there. Teeny bit of movement here for the ankle armor. Foot is on a ball joint, so you get some side to side, but it's blocked because of the ankle armor. Some slight ankle pivot in and out. There's a rocking joint that lets you kick the foot back and forth, which is also helped a bit by the ball joint connection. There's even a toe bend here, so that's pretty cool. Overall, the articulation here is good, albeit fairly typical for a high-grade kit. Alright, now that we've gotten everything covered, it's time to plug in those final scores. I'm giving the build a B. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill high-grade building experience, made a little more interesting with the inclusion of new parts. The build strength is solid enough, though there are some parts I wish held a little better. I'll give the aesthetics an A. It's a very cool combination of the Perfect Strike Gundam and the Strike Freedom Gundam. The new parts add a lot of color and the plastic quality is really nice too. I'm giving the presentation an A. Not only does it keep sticker usage to a minimum, but it basically has all the essentials covered when it comes to color accuracy. I also appreciate the absence of any bad seam lines. The accessories and extras get an A. This kit's loadout is quite large, and while a lot of it isn't anything too special, I think you'll be pleased with its more over-the-top offerings. I myself was impressed by the level of quality that went into the new Striker Pack. Lastly, the articulation gets a B. You can definitely get a good amount of posability out of it, I just can't help but feel it is lacking somewhat. In particular, I found the head movement to be pretty mediocre, even for high-grade standards. So all in all, I think the high-grade Perfect Strike Freedom is a fine kit, especially considering what you get for the price tag. Will this satisfy the need for an updated high-grade Perfect Strike kit? Probably not, or I don't know, maybe, it's up to you. What I can say for sure is that this mobile suit is very cool and unique in its own right, and at the very least you could probably use that strike pack for some crazy customs. But that's really all I got to say for this one. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you have any thoughts on it or the kit itself, let me know in the comments below. And subscribe if you want to follow me for more content. Till then, take it easy and I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. I'm not really gonna do a face cam for this outro because I feel like I've already delayed this video for quite some time. Sorry, on the one hand, stuff just sort of happened and I wasn't happy with all of the footage I used in this video, so I ended up having to re-record some parts. You'll probably notice a few instances of the kit being held up on this kind of generic action figure stand rather than the action base. And that's because I only got the action base recently and I decided to rework it into the video. But I also didn't want to go through the trouble of completely redoing certain setups, so I just decided to leave them in. As for why even a more off-the-cuff video like this would take a lot of time to produce, that's because I gotta deal with stuff like this during the daytime. Yeah, that's pretty unacceptable, and unfortunately sounds like those are very common during my recording sessions. At this point, I think I'd probably be better off just doing all of my recordings at night because while I would have less time overall, at least I wouldn't have to put up with so many interruptions, and it would save me a whole hell of a lot more energy. Other than that, I've been feeling pretty inspired lately, and I have a lot of ideas for a personal project that I want to pour a lot of my attention into. This might mean a slower video output, but I love Gunpla and I don't want to lose my passion for the hobby by just having to stop everything I'm doing and forcing myself to make a review of every single build. That said, I'll try the best I can in spite of that, and I hope y'all will stick around for future uploads. As always, links will be in the description, including my socials and my Ko-Fi page if you want to support me even further. Until next time, this is Gundam Breaker Battlogue, signing out.